Okay, hey everybody, Jeff Whitfield here. I'm trying out this new camera, so kind of bear with me. What I want to talk to you about today, probably the first of a bunch of them, is just real quick on how to make tinder from a piece of wood. I see a lot of that on everywhere I go. People trying to get a fire going, they can't get it going, they keep striking their ferro rod, or what we call a metal match. They keep scratching that metal match and just wearing it out, trying to get a spark to land somewhere, praying to the fire gods that the thing's going to light, and it's not going to work. I would like to mention, if you're making wood shavings, see if I can find one here. Yeah, these little curly cues like that. I don't know if you can see that or not. Maybe like that. So that's the first stage of kindling. So we don't want to use that to start our fire with. Now, sometimes you get lucky when it catches it and gets the fire going, but you know, especially if you're using pitch wood or fat lighter wood, a lot of times you can catch it on that and get a fire going because it's so combustible anyway. But some of your lesser woods, especially if it's got a little bit of oil in the wood, it ain't gonna work. You're gonna have to get that thing really thin. First stage kindling, I'm sorry. See, a lot of people make stacks of this stuff and throw sparks in there, and it's not going to work. So save that for when you get your tinder lit and it's starting to go. So what's the definition of tinder? Tinder is something that's bone dry, thin and hair-like, and highly combustible. So bone dry, that's a given, right? Say it's raining outside. If I can find a piece of wood and I can split that wood and get to the inside of it, chances are it's going to be dry, or it's dry enough that you can actually throw a spark to it. We had a little competition one time at work where was going to see who could get the fire going first, and we had these big chunks of pine that my boss man cut down that was still green, and we split that all with our knives, worked it all the way down, got to the tinder, and with green pine with all the water in there, we still got it lit, because the tinder is the key to the fire. So bone dry if you can get it, split some wood in rainy weather, and get to the inside where it's nice and dry, and that's going to help you get your fire going. Next is real thin hair-like fibers. So we all used jute cord before, and you know it's just a bunch of little hairs in there. So if I separate that up, that will catch a spark a lot quicker than if I tried to light the whole rope. So, get my head out of the way. There. So I want to expose all those little hairs to it whenever possible. So that won't light with a spark unless I just get lucky and it catches one of those little hairs on fire that's sticking out of there. And then it'll start burning the rope. So if I separate it, make me a little bird's nest out of that, of course that's going to light a lot easier. See if I can get a little piece of this and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So hair-like. Other things we think about, especially like man-made material, would be cotton balls. That's real hair-like, real thin. Toilet paper thin is what I'm wanting to get. Even if I'm using my wood, I want to get it toilet paper thin. Alright, so now I separated it up. I'm going to zoom the camera in down here on the bottom. Ain't no need y'all watching me when you can watch the fire stuff, right? Let's get to my table there. Alright. That should work. Okay, so I got my metal match or my ferro rod. I got my Mora knife. I really love these knives for the price. You can't beat them. Real easy to weld, to use. My thumb fits right on there pretty good when I'm making shavings. Doesn't torque my wrist too much. So here we got the jute fiber. Kind of separated it. Now, before you go to striking it, you want to kind of put it in a ball, because I don't want my spark to fall through there anywhere and hit the table below it or hit the ground, right? So I want it to catch on there. So make a little ball, but keep it spread out, keep it aerated so it catches fire. Alright, so a couple different ways to do this. I'm just going to use the pull technique. I know some of y'all are going to raise hell about that, but if you got a sharp edge on your back of your blade, feel free to use it. I've never had any problem using my knife, and I've been doing this for 40 years now. So I usually use a part up here that I hardly ever use anyway. So when you use your metal match, you want to drag it across it, almost a 90-degree angle. I can tilt the blade to my tinder to throw sparks more straight down if I need to. Alright, so let's give it a little strike. My goal is to do it with one pull. And there, we got flame. So that's what having a bone dry, hair-like, and combustible tinder does. So if I had me a softball size of that stuff, have my first stage of kindling ready, so that when I get that lid, I can throw my kindling across the top of it, and it's going to light up. About guaranteed every time. So how do we go about making tinder out of wood? Here I got a piece of bamboo, and what you want to do is not cut into the wood. So angle of my knife there, I'm not cutting into the wood and trying to make feather sticks. That's first stage of your kindling process. What I want to do is scrape it. So I'm going to have my knife 90 degrees to it, tilt it away from me just a little bit, put your thumb behind it for support. Ideally you want to use a long piece. You know, if I'm squatted down on the ground, I want to be able to tuck it underneath my belt. Use two hands is going to make it a lot easier for you. And then you're just going to scrape. Long scrapes. Longer the better. I want real long fibers. That's going to help me maintain the fire triangle. Alright, I'm going to do it one-handed here. Let me get out of the way so you can see it. So nice long strokes. Get some really toilet paper thin pieces off of there. Alright, so now I have my tinder ball. And it's really thin. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like toilet paper thin. Some of you can see through it. Let's see how that lights up. It's like the camera's tilted a little bit the wrong way. There. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing. Make sure it's kind of balled up. I don't want my sparks to fall through there. Clamp it down, set your knife right on top of the tinder, right on the edge. Pin it down so the wind won't blow it away. Alright, one little spark. Nope. Took two on that one. Okay, move that to the side. Alright, I'm going to show you one more trick using bamboo. Helps out a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and make me some tinder real quick. Now the other thing I can do, especially if I'm going to do catching a coal, say I'm going to do a bow drill fire or something like that, or bamboo fire saw, you can take this and roll it up in your hand. Same thing with cedar bark and other stringy stuff like that, yucca leaves. Just roll it in your hand like you're trying to make a biscuit. And what it's going to do is it's going to break down the fibers and make it even more thinner. Is that a word? More thinner? See if we can get this where you can see it. So now it looks totally different than the other one because it's more like that jute string. So it's got a lot of little hairs in there. It's going to catch the spark a lot easier. Should anyway. Of course I'm on camera, so it probably ain't gonna work, right? There we go. And that's bamboo. Slide that out of the way. Next I got a piece of hardwood. Looks like a Osage orange. Piece I split off and broke or something. So representing hardwoods. You can use pine out, say like out west where the humidity is a lot lower. Down south I wouldn't recommend it. Usually by the time it falls off a tree, it's 90% rotten. So I want a good solid piece of wood. Something if I can make shavings out of, my kindling out of, I can use it for tinder as well. So the same thing there, I'm going to hold my knife about 90 degrees to the wood, tilt the back of the blade down a little bit, Remember, I'm not cutting into it, I'm scraping it. Alright, just make some. There we go, I'm starting to get some out of there now. Nice long curly cues. That's what we're aiming for. This may not be Osage. Smells like eucalyptus. Well, that's strong. Must have a lot of oil in it. Alright. So there's my little one. Remember, from starting a fire, I want about a softball size of this. That's 1 times the prep for Tinder. Okay, let's give this a go. Yeah, I think it's got oil in it. Yeah, it smells like eucalyptus. It may be because I just cut down 2 eucalyptus trees. Alright, so that's how you scrape it. Alright, so with that, that's just our technique of doing it. And I think if you find that if you practice that before you start your Tinder, it's going to make your fire a lot more successful in the future. Alright, so this is my test run with the camera, so next one's going to be better, I promise you. Alright, y'all have a good one.